Hey guys, what's up? I'm Erin and welcome back to the channel. There's a lot of personal finance advice out there telling you how to invest, how you should be managing your debt, where you should keep your finances, and when you should hit certain milestones. And perhaps a lot of it or most of it is very well intentioned, but you probably know my stance. Finance is personal, and it's impossible for all advice to apply to all people in all situations. When you're listening to financial advice, you should listen with a discerning ear. Decide, does this apply to me? Is this in my best interest? If it resonates with you, go ahead and incorporate it into your life. If it doesn't, let it roll right off your back and you keep moving on and moving forward. There's a lot of personal financial advice that I choose deliberately not to follow, and I think I'm in a better position for it, and that's what this video is about. It's rude to talk about money. I feel like there's this unwritten but very established rule in our society that you're not supposed to talk about money, and I really don't like it. I feel like not talking about money just ensures that a lot of people are really going to develop bad financial habits. And I think this whole being hush-hush around money attitude comes from a lot of people associating net worth with self-worth, which is crazy because the two are completely unrelated. When it comes to a number on your bank statement, it is literally just that. A number on your bank statement. Money should just be seen as a tool to help you create the life you want to live, not a yardstick that you use to measure or assess your self-worth. Couples who discuss money have healthier relationships. When parents discuss finances with their kids, it can set them up for a lifetime of financial success. If you have a friend that you can talk about money issues with, it can help you and it can help your friends make better financial decisions. And of course, every relationship is different, and what information you're willing to share is going to differ in these relationships. And it is possible to talk about money without getting into the nitty-gritty details. You can talk about perhaps a savings rate or what your goals are, or that you're paying off debt, things like that. I think life is exponentially harder when you feel like you have to do everything alone. Having someone to talk to about your finances can absolutely increase your knowledge base. It can help you feel supported. It can give you some really good advice. Maybe it helps you make a decision about a car or a home, or even just between two job offers. Not including my home in my net worth. This one is far more controversial than I ever imagined it would be. I said this in a previous video and oh my goodness. I know most people, when they calculate their net worth, include their home value. And I 100% get why people do it. And if you are calculating your net worth and you want to include your home value, absolutely, go for it. Of course, I believe that my home is an asset with great value. But with that said, my home, my primary residence, has one main function, and it is a place for my family and I to live. That is the reason we have a home, so we have a place to live. My investments, on the other hand, serve a very different purpose. I invest with the idea of building income streams or building future income streams. Maybe that's dividends, maybe it's simply investing in low-cost index funds that one day I can have a nest egg large enough that I can indefinitely withdraw 3 or 4%. My husband and I frequently discuss investing in real estate properties in the form of rentals, and those rental properties I would view in the same vein as investments because they provide an income stream. My home doesn't serve as an income source or a potential income source because we don't rent out any portion of it. Now, we absolutely have taken steps to increase its value. We finished the basement, thereby adding a bathroom and a living room and an additional bedroom, and we hope one day when we go to sell it to extract value from it, to sell it at a higher price point. But until that happens, my home is a place for me to live. My investments, on the other hand, give me the potential to not be reliant on a job or an employer. Let's do an example. Let's say you have a net worth of $1 million, but let's do a couple different scenarios and break it up differently. If you have $1 million invested in the stock market, that would provide you about a $40,000 annual income, assuming you follow the rule of 4%. However, let's say you have a $750,000 home and $250,000 invested. $250,000 invested would give you an income of about $10,000 a year. Or let's say you have a $300,000 home and a rental home valued at $300,000. That rental home gives you a regular monthly check of, say, $2,500 or so, and then you have $400,000 invested in the stock market. All of these were the exact same net worth, but they provide very different income opportunities. What I care most about is the income opportunities that I can create. I don't want to be house rich and cash poor. So perhaps when calculating your net worth, maybe it's best to do two versions, one that includes your primary primary residence and one that doesn't. And just because I know someone's going to ask, yes, I do subtract my mortgage from my net worth, and maybe that unfairly skews the net worth down. But honestly, I'm okay with that because I'm not after the highest net worth. I'm after financial freedom. That's what matters. Focusing on saving. This one is kind of twofold for me. One, I know women who are phenomenal savers. They're great at setting aside a piece of that paycheck, but they're not the greatest investors. They tend to be a little bit more risk averse and unwilling to accept what fluctuations tend to happen in the stock market. And psychologically speaking, women do tend to be more risk averse than men. And a big hats off to the boys who are more willing to accept this risk. I know women who have tens, and I kid you not, hundreds of thousands of dollars just sitting in a savings account. That money would be better invested and put to work in the stock market and gathering a better long-term return. Of course, it's very important to have cash on hand and have emergency savings, but you also have to make sure that future you has an income. And you do that by investing. You do that by being willing to accept a certain level of risk. Because if your money's just sitting in a savings account, it's losing money at the rate of inflation. Long-term investments in the stock market beat savings accounts. And the other side of this is focusing too much on savings and not enough on income. And when I say I don't do this, I have to say I don't do this anymore because I definitely did this earlier in life. You're always going to have some fixed expenses. Maybe that's your mortgage, your transportation, your food. You're going to have a set budget that you have to work with. There's going to be limits to the number of cuts you can make and the amount you can save. But when it comes to your income, that has no cap. You can really earn anything that you're willing to work for. So rather than focusing on how much I can remove from my budget and how many cuts I can make, I'd rather focus on what I can grow my income to. As I grow my income, that naturally allows me to save more. Unsolicited advice from people in the know. If you're looking to buy a home, you probably go to the bank, give them some information like your income, your savings, and boom, they will tell you what house you can afford. I am 100% not interested in what house the bank thinks I can afford. That is the fastest way to become house rich and cash poor. Same thing happens when you're shopping for a car or when you're applying for a new credit card. You tell these banks what your annual income is and boom, you are approved for a credit card that has a credit limit equivalent of your annual salary. Certainly doesn't mean you want to be charging that much to a credit card. Quick little sidebar here, I do want to say I'm a huge fan of a high credit limit on a credit card because it allows me to keep my credit utilization low, which helps me to keep my credit score high. Just don't let it entice you to spend more. Use your credit card responsibly. I don't want some bank or some credit institution choosing what my monthly payment will be. They don't have my best interest at heart. What they want to do is approve me for as much debt as they think I can handle, so they make as much money as possible. Me going out and buying a $60,000 car is a great idea for the bank that finances that loan. It's not great for me as an individual pursuing financial freedom and trying to build a better life for my family and myself. Don't let someone else choose your monthly payment or choose your debt burden. When you're making these decisions, actually sit down, see what works for you and still allows you to reach your other goals. Thinking any one has all the answers. Have you heard of the health halo? It's this phenomenon that happens with packaged food that has a nutrition claim on it, like low sodium, low fat, organic. We automatically see that label and assume that the food is healthy. I think this happens with people too, and certainly credentials do matter. I greatly respect CFPs, CPAs, and attorneys. They have an expertise in the field. But I do want to say that you have to keep in mind whenever someone is writing an article or writing a book or making a video, they're giving the best generalized advice for the masses that they possibly can. Your situation very well may be unique and complex and better approached with a personalized plan, something that's not really altogether possible when you're making things for the masses. Just remember to have that discerning ear. Assess, does this information apply to me and my situation? If it doesn't, it's okay to just let it go. And just remember that everyone has limits to their knowledge. Your CFP is going to be great at helping you plan your retirement, but your CPA is likely to be far better when it comes to helping you reduce your tax burden, and your attorney is going to be better at drafting your will. And I just want to add that nowadays I think you have to be really careful because a lot of people are out there claiming that they're financial experts, but just claiming it doesn't make it so. You really need to assess the background of this person and the advice that they're giving. Like me, for example, I simply just make YouTube videos on personal finance because I'm passionate about the subject. I'm not an expert here. This is just something that I love doing in my free time. There's so much financial advice out there. Some of it's great and some of it's not so great, but it's important to remember that not all advice works for all people. You have to decide what works for you. What do you think of my list of advice that I deliberately avoid? Are there items that you disagree with? It's okay to have a different opinion. That's how we decide what works for us. Let me know your thoughts in the comment down below and let me know, is there some advice that you deliberately avoid following? I'm very curious. I post new videos every single week. If you got anything at all out of this one, please give it a like. If you're new here, please consider subscribing, or if you know of someone who might get something out of this type of content, please consider sharing. I'll see you soon. Bye.